All right, good afternoon. You know, it's wonderful to be here with so many of you on this historic day. Today, we celebrate the 9.1 mile, 4-station Foothill Gold Line light rail project from Glendora to Pomona, reaching its 50% construction completion. We're halfway there to improving the mobility, the quality of life for residents, workers, students, and visitors as they travel to and from the San Gabriel Valley and Pomona Valleys. I'm Ed Reese. Oh, one moment here. Looks like we lost. Hello? You're good? All right. As I was saying, I'm Ed Reese. I'm Claremont Mayor Pro Tem and Chairman of the Foothill Gold Line Construction Authority Board of Directors. You know, I'm honored to be your MC today, and it's meaningful to be hosting this event under this beautiful tree where there's progress all around us. To my right, within the rail corridor, the freight track has been relocated to its new position. The approach for the new bridge is underway, and crews have even started work west of Monte Vista Avenue on the electrification system of the light rail trains. The superstructure behind me was recently completed. The crews are underway to complete the reconfiguration of the intersection to improve safety, even as the light rail trains will cross over the intersection on the bridge. Impressive progress. With me here today are my colleagues on the Construction Authority Board. Metro Board Representative, JPA Board Member, and Pomona Mayor Tim Sandoval. And JPA Board Member and Glendora Council Member Mendel Thompson. On behalf of all of us, we want to welcome you to today's event and thank you for your continued dedication and support to the Foothill Gold Line project. I'd like to also take a moment to recognize several past Construction Authority board members whose shoulders we all stand on as we continue their legacy. Past board chair, Keith Hanks. Past board vice chair, Sam Pedroza. And past board member, Cliff Hamlow. We thank you for your past service and your continued dedication to seeing the project completed. Now, the Foothill Gold Line would not nearly be as successful without the strong partnership we have with Metro and the support of our elected leaders at all levels: federal, state, county, and local. We'll be introducing the officials that are participating in this ceremony as they're called up to speak, so I'll hold off on introducing them at this point. For now, I'll just say that we are honored to have so many of you here with us today. Everyone here has been a steadfast supporter of the project, most of you for decades. Each of you has played a direct role in the project's success. We are grateful for your partnership and your trust, and so glad you are able to be with us. We look forward to hearing from you in just a few moments. Before we get there, I need a moment to recognize the city partners. We build this massive infrastructure project through their cities, and at times it's difficult for their communities. Okay, difficult is probably an understatement. However, our city partners continue to stay positive and proactive and ensure we have the staff resources needed for the project's overall success at each of their cities. That support has been critical to reaching this milestone. There are quite a few officials here that are not speaking, so please let me take a moment to recognize them. Hold off on your applause until I've introduced them all. Here from our host city is Council Member and longtime JPA member Dennis Bertone. Council Member and JPA alternate John Ebner. And joining Construction Authority Board Member Mendel Thompson, from the City of Glendora, Mayor and JPA alternate Karen Davis, Mayor Pro Tem Gary Boyer, Councilmember David Friedendahl, and Councilmember Michael Alawas. Joining from Laverne is Mayor Tim Hepburn. And joining Mayor Sandoval from the City of Pomona is Mayor Pro Tem Elizabeth Ontiveros Cole. Representing the future corridor cities, joining me from my home city of Claremont, Council members Corey Kalaikai and Jennifer Stark, and from Montclair, Mayor Pro Tem and JPA Board Secretary Treasurer Bill Rue. We also have members from our JPA board from corridor cities and past segments. Irwindale Council Member Manuel Ortiz, Azusa Mayor Pro Tem Andrew Mendez, and South Pasadena Mayor Michael Cacciati. And finally, I want to recognize Monrovia Mayor-elect and San Gabriel Valley Council of Governments President Becky Shevlin. The COG was such a critical partner to ensuring the project segment would reach Pomona, and we thank you for the COG's partnership and for being with us today. If I missed anyone, I'm truly sorry. Let's give them all a warm round of applause. Wow, whew, that was a lot, right?
There's only 15 more.
Yeah, that's right. That was phase one. We have second phase. No. Really though, but for good reason, that was a lot. The Foothill Gold Line is a project that we are collectively proud of. While we work to see the vision to its conclusion, there is nothing like the last 2.5 years to provide inspiration to keep us believing. It has been truly incredible to watch this project as it in some places literally grown out of the ground. If you haven't already, check out some good examples of that around us right here, right now. Watching the relocation of the freight system, starting the construction on the stations, dozens of bridges and grade crossings being built and approved, and now the light rail system taking shape, it's all truly awesome to see. It has taken an incredible coordination and skill by an extraordinary team at the Construction Authority and Kiewit Parsons, our design builder. And it all happened during the first few years of COVID. So, before I introduce the first speaker, I want to recognize this impressive achievement and the person at the top of the staff org chart at the Construction Authority, our CEO, Habib Balian. So he'll recognize his team later, but I'll say more about him at that time. But for now, I want to thank you, Habib, on behalf of the entire board and all the corridor cities for your unwavering, forward-planning leadership that continues to deliver excellence. You and your team have seen it and made it seem almost easy. And we all know that's been far from that. But with that, thank you. You know, I'm honored to ask our first guest to come up to the podium. As you all know, over the last decade, our relationship with Metro has gone from one of cooperation to one of collaboration. And that has been because of the direction of the current board of directors and the CEO, Stephanie Wiggins. One member of the Metro board has the unusual, but awesome, responsibility of wearing two hats. Board member for both Metro and the Construction Authority. And he is mayor of one of the largest cities in the county. He provides energy and leadership that will ensure the future of transportation in the region is bright. Please help me welcome my predecessor as Construction Authority Board Chair, the Honorable Pomona Mayor, Tim Sandoval.
Before I say a few words, I just want to thank the organizers for putting us underneath this tree on a hot summer's day. Let's give them a nice big hand for that. If there is one thing that you take away from what I'm about to say, because you're going to hear a lot said this next hour, the message that I want to convey is to say thank you. Thank you to every one of you. This project would not get to Pomona and ultimately to Claremont and Montclair without all of you. And it's important that we have moments like this where we come together and we just say thanks, because we know that all of you put a tremendous amount of time and energy to make this happen. And at the core, it's about serving the residents of Los Angeles County so that they have a rail and bus system that they can all be incredibly proud of, that they're using, because we have made decisions that value public transportation. Good afternoon. This is an incredibly exciting time. It is an honor to be here to celebrate the Foothill Gold Line at the halfway mark. Of course, that means we still have to go 50% more. You don't want a 50% project, but it feels like it was just yesterday, and as I look out, I'm just reminded and I'm taken back to Pomona City Hall, where we celebrated this phase 2 of the Foothill Gold Line, and to be here in the beautiful city of San Dimas is a tremendous honor. As Ed said, I am honored here to represent both the Construction Authority and Metro. As he said, and we probably had the same line written in for us because that happens sometimes, right? Is that I'm appointed to both boards, which allows me a unique opportunity, both to see things from the perspective of the Gold Line, but also Metro. And it's an opportunity to not only plan for the future of transportation in our region, but I also get to witness history being made. And I'm sure all of you, particularly electeds, you think about that. Oh, I remember I was involved in that project, and it's an incredibly beautiful thing. The work that we collectively do by creating more opportunities to get people out of their cars into our light rail and bus systems is helping to improve the lives and the environment for people throughout Los Angeles County. I recognize that the individuals I'm going to announce in a moment will be coming up to speak, but I do want to recognize my colleagues on the Metro Board that are here with us today. Let me first start by announcing our Metro Board Chair, and I know this by heart, Supervisor Hilda Solis from the 1st District. Give her a nice big hand. And from the 5th District, County Supervisor Catherine Barger. Good to see you, Catherine. And my colleague and board member from the Glendale City Council, Ara Najarian. All right, good to see you. Where are you, Ara? There you go. Okay. Not only do they work hard to improve our region every day in their elected jobs, they envision the future and then help make it happen. It is an honor to work shoulder to shoulder with them. And as Ed just said about the past Construction Authority board members, I too feel I get to stand on these leaders' shoulders as I now shape that future alongside them. I also want to take a moment to recognize the 2 agency CEOs. If you have never met Stephanie Wiggins, she is an incredible human being, an incredible person, and a great leader. Please give a nice big hand for our CEO of Metro, Stephanie Wiggins. Thank you. And I might add, she is also lives in the San Gabriel Valley. And for San Gabriel Valley people, that's very important. And I also want to acknowledge our Construction Authority CEO, the Honorable Habib Balian, does an outstanding job. It's one of those types of meetings, if you've ever been in a Construction Authority meeting, it goes by really fast. And I think part of it is because you guys just do an outstanding job of running this project. Thank you, Habib. Appreciate your leadership. They are 2 incredibly talented leaders, and we are very lucky to have them. These are not easy jobs, but these 2 impressive individuals lead great teams. And I also just want to recognize the teams as well who do an outstanding job, and I'm sure they'll be recognized later. Now I just want to say that, as you know, in addition to wearing the hat of being on Metro Board as well as being on the Construction Authority, I have the honor of serving as the Mayor of Pomona. And I can't tell you and express to you how important it is to be able to get this line to the residents of Pomona. If you know anything about the Gold Line, Pomona is one of the most working class communities along that segment. It is also the 7th largest city in LA County. And despite what Pasadena might think, I love Pasadena, we are the largest city in the San Gabriel Valley. Chris, I love you. All right. but we are cooperators and collaborators, and that is always central to the mission of the great work that happens in the COG. I want to go on to say that we look forward to it coming to Laverne, Fairplex, and to Pomona. As you know, we have incredible institutions in the city of Pomona, from Cal Poly Pomona, Western University. We have this thing called the LA County Fair, which just completed a month-long program of fun, food, and activity. We have Casa Colina, a renowned rehabilitation center, Pomona Valley Hospital, which Supervisor Solis and Supervisor Barger were instrumental in bringing a trauma center. People will be able to access this goal line and get to critical institutions. And this time, I'd like to take a moment to introduce our supervisor, who has been the chair of the Metro Board as a county supervisor. She's been an incredible leader through and through. I also want to point out she's a Cal Poly Pomona graduate, and we are very honored, very honored. Any chance I can get to throw a little reference to Pomona, I do that, okay? So my apologies. But please welcome the Honorable Chair, First District Supervisor, Hilda Solis. Please come on up, Supervisor.
Thank you. He forgot to say Broncos. Because there's two, San Luis Obispo and our very own Pomona. But thank you for that great introduction. It's so good to see so many of you. And especially on this occasion, to be in such a beautiful part of the San Gabriel Valley. And to come home to an area like San Dimas reminds me of being back in some Midwestern state. It really takes you back that far, and it's beautiful. It's quaint, and I know there's just a lot of good things happening out here for our LA County. I want to acknowledge all our Congress people, Congresswoman Grace Botano, Congresswoman Judy Chu, our Assembly, our senators, and my colleague on the board, Catherine Barger, and Ara Najarian. Ara, where are you? I saw you. There you are. There you are. I just saw you yesterday, so like I said, believe it or not, we kind of live this stuff, right? Ara and Stephanie and Habib, all of you. I just can't tell you how happy I am and overjoyed. It seems to me that I think we were together back at this time and date, back in 2017, if I recall, when most of us were there for the groundbreaking. How many of you remember that day? I do, but it was a lot hotter. Oh, yeah. The wind's blowing, and I don't want this flagpole to fall on my head. I hope those are secure. Just want to say, just like our Mayor of Pomona said, that today marks the 50% completion for the extension of the Foothill Gold Line to Pomona. And as chair of the Metro Board of Directors and as supervisor representing many of the cities in this local area, I want to personally congratulate each and every one of you. What an amazing milestone that we have achieved today. The project, in my opinion, will truly transform the San Gabriel Valley and give us our due respect. So give yourselves a big round of applause. We already know this was not easy. Habib and Stephanie recall having meetings even prior to Stephanie coming into this position on late evening phone calls. How are we going to get more money? How are we going to continue the extension? And not knowing what was going to come of it. But I can tell you that hard work does pay off. So congratulations to you. Back in 2019, the Gold Line Authority found itself, as we know, with a big hole. $126 million to complete that first phase of the extension to Pomona. I remember those calls, Mayor, and I remember all of us kind of just fidgeting around trying to figure out what to do. But fellow board members, we quickly took action on the Metro Board to have our Metro staff intensify their efforts to identify funding to close that gap. And we did make it happen. But I also want to give a big shout out to the San Gabriel Valley Council of Governments, because you also, through sub-regional funds, which we know are very essential when we hit bumps in the road, to be able to help provide the 126 sub-regional funds to complete the project. So thank you all for your help. And this is a real partnership. This hasn't really been done before in the past. So it really has, I think, created an opportunity for us to be more than just colleagues, but to really work with one another and share our goals. That's what I believe a true partnership is about. I'm happy to be a part of Metro, happy to support the Gold Line Authority and have as a former Congresswoman as well, and continuing to see the good work that you're doing. But I know that these projects are very timely, and we do need a lot more support from our state elected officials as well as our congressional members and our folks back in DC, Department of Transportation, and all those individuals that are going to make this complete project. A 1.5 billion project is a signal of our unity and our desire to improve the quality of life for all of our residents, not just in one community where there happens to be a stop, but all along LA County and hopefully someday soon in San Bernardino County. So I know Montclair's here, and you have to talk to your elected officials so we can continue to work together on that. We're already seeing about $13 billion in private investment within a half mile of these stations and future stations along the Gold Line in the cities of Glendora, San Dimas, Verne, and our very own Pomona. Those investments, as you know, will serve the 2 million people that will be added to the San Gabriel Valley in the next 2 decades. So while people are saying that people are leaving California, I don't know about that. I feel like we still have a lot of things to do here and people want to stay. The project, as you know, will also serve to get people out of their cars and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. And the Foothill extension will have a direct connection to major projects in the works under Metro's portfolio. A few miles west of here in downtown LA, Metro is almost to the finish line with our regional connector project, which is going to be incredible. You have to see it to believe it. I'm sure Stephanie will probably have some takers who want to take tours and go down, I forget how many feet, where the subway is emerging, and it's beautiful to see even artwork down there, to see the kind of care that has been taken in developing that. After the Gold Line extension to Pomona is completed in 2025, not too far away, folks, the regional connector will allow people to take a one-seat ride from Pomona all the way to Long Beach. Can you imagine that? That is just incredible. All without ever having to step foot into a car. Isn't that amazing? Just imagine what that looks like. We have not seen that kind of sustainable mobility in Los Angeles since the streetcar system, and that was way before my time. But I remember my father talking to us about it. He used to take it from LA all the way to, I think it was Newport Beach, Balboa Island, because the tracks are still there. But now we have our own, and I want to especially thank again all of you for helping to deliver this project. Habib Valian, our CEO, you deserve a big round of applause. The Gold Line Authority, taking us to the next level. Ed Reese, outstanding job, has always been there for us, chair of the Gold Line Authority Board. Stephanie Wiggins, our tremendous CEO for Metro, and someone who also comes very seasoned from working with Metrolink. So thank you, Stephanie. To our design builder, Kiewit Parsons, and to all the Gold Line Authority and Metro staff. And I especially want to give a big shout out to Rick Mead and to Jonathan Hofert for both being here today. Let's give them a big round of applause. Raise your hands so we can identify you. You're a big part of this project. This is an accomplishment that all of us can be proud of, no doubt. And we know, let's be reminded, a lot of this is happening because the voters in LA County voted for Measure M, $120 billion worth of projects. And when you say billions of dollars, just think of the millions of jobs, economic development that goes with that. And the fact that it's putting us on the map back in Washington. I love it. We can compete with anybody. So with that, I want to just say that I'm going to continue to work my best with all of you. And hopefully I don't get entangled here with the flags. And I just want to remind you, Los Angeles County Better, B-E-T-T-E-R, which for me stands for Bring Equitable Transportation to Every Resident. And that's been my motto for this last year as serving as the board chair. Now it is my great honor and pleasure to represent the board colleague that I happen to know and work with now for almost 8 years, Catherine Parker, who represents the 1st District, and we're in her home turf. Thank you. Fifth, what am I saying? Oh my goodness. Please give her a big round of applause. Woo, I stand corrected.
I'll take the first. actually. Thank you. Well, thank you, and thank you, Chair Solis. You've been an incredible chair during a difficult time. You know, you talk about when it was 2019 when we were in Pomona. And I remember how excited we were getting ready to talk about the Gold Line. And the atmosphere was filled with excitement, definitely pride. Habib, there's one thing that comes standard with you: on time, on budget. That is a heck of a reputation to have. But we realized that we were one step closer to one of the highest priorities that we have, and that is getting the Gold Line to Montclair. But who could have imagined that shortly thereafter we would be shutting down because of COVID? But today we are gathered here to celebrate really an accomplishment, and that is 50% completion, something that many didn't think could be done, but we all knew that it could, and it's because of each and every one of you in this audience. It's about our federal partners, Congressmember Chu, Congressmember Napolitano, listening to us and understanding that together we are better. To our state representatives who are sitting on a lot of money, we could spend it. But we want to thank you as well, because it's about collaboration. It's about working with the cogs, working with one voice. I was talking with Assemblymember Holden, and I said that, you know, one thing that we're good at now is talking with one voice. We don't compete with each other. We work together, and then we'll argue in a closed room, but we'll bring the money to this region and we'll spend it wisely, capitalizing on the tax that we've self-taxed ourselves. And Chair Solis, you're absolutely right. Washington looks at us as a gold standard because we are willing to put money on the table in order to draw down federal dollars. That gives us an advantage, and that's why when we do the 20 and 28, we're going to make it a reality. My remarks pretty much mirror what you said and what you said, and I'm sure it's going to mirror what everyone else is going to say, so I'm just going to go a little off script and say, you know, I look here at San Dimas, and if you look at the renderings over here, I think what really makes me so excited about the Gold Line, especially as it goes out in the San Gabriel Valley, is it celebrates each community's diversity and what each community has historically been known for. And so I would encourage you all, when you take the Gold Line, don't just get on, look around, look at the station, look at the time, the artwork, look at the stamps that are done on this concrete. For anyone that says that you can have to have a budget and come in on budget and have it look institutional does not know how to run a project, because this is an example of how you can come in with a project that's going to stand out but is affordable. Affordable is a relative word, I know, but all kidding aside, it will. And when you look at the growth in this area, we're estimating about 2 million residents over the next 2 decades moving here. There is no question in my mind that this is going to be, excuse the pun, the gold standard for transportation projects across the region. So I want to thank you, Habib, Stephanie, to our chair, to my colleagues, Ara, to an amazing representative on the board now representing the San Gabriel Valley, Sandoval. We appreciate everything you all do. We're going to work well together, and I look forward to being here for the 100% completion. Yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you both, supervisors, Mayor Sandoval. I have to say to both Supervisor Solis, Supervisor Barger, together you both represent this entire corridor. And you both have witnessed the benefits this project brings to the station cities and to the county as a whole. Your leadership and support continue to be instrumental in the project's success. You led the charge to extend the current construction segment to Pomona. And I know it's a priority for both of you to see the completion of this line to Claremont and Montclair. We appreciate you being with us today and all that you have done and continue to do to support the journey. Thank you. All right, so a fact that I suspect almost all that know me understands about me, that I am very focused on not only completing this initial segment from Glendora to Pomona, but the entire Foothill Gold Line from Glendora to Montclair. 3 others here have had this similar focus, especially those in the last 2 years, as they've been working tirelessly in Sacramento to try and secure the needed funding to complete the line. Those recent efforts are certainly not the first, but just the most recent actions made on behalf of this project by California State Senator Anthony Portantino and Assembly members Chris Holden and Freddie Rodriguez. Let me start by introducing Senator Portantino. His 21st Senate district includes the Foothill Gold Line cities of Pasadena, South Pasadena, Monrovia, and Duarte, and nearly all of the current project cities, Glendora, San Dimas, Verne, and Claremont. He has represented the corridor in the Senate since 2016, but has been a strong project proponent since representing the corridor in the State Assembly from 2006 to 2012. Senator Portantino was instrumental in the project receiving a grant award from CalSTA that allowed the current construction segment to move forward. The grant also included some funding to complete the project to Montclair, just unfortunately, not quite enough, just yet. As we look at the remaining funding needed to complete the project to Claremont and Montclair, Senator Portantino continues to stand with us and help in any way he can. Please help me thank him for his dedication to the project and welcome him now to the podium, the Honorable Senator Anthony Portantino.
Good afternoon, everyone. I tell you, one thing that every speaker has mentioned, and it's really, really true, is this is a project that is the sum of its parts, that every single elected official throughout the region, the current elected officials, the past elected officials, everyone has embraced the goal line. I mean, it's just that rare, special place where it's bigger than any individual. If you think Adam Schiff was a senator who created the Gold Line Construction Authority, then went to Congress and served with you in Congress, and you, Congresswoman, and you, I mean, all of you, I mean, the supervisors, the local government officials, the COG, I mean, it really is that special, special thing. And Mayor Sandoval and Ed, you've done such a good job in just articulating that team aspect of bringing us here together today. So I'm just really excited to be here and to join my colleagues from the legislature who getting attacked by the American flag. Not a bad thing, getting attacked by the American flag. I'll take that photo all day long. You know, there is strong support in the legislature, and my colleagues, you know, share that perspective and that push. And the LA delegation, I know Chris and I, we were all just on a phone call with the governor, again, making the case that this is important to the entire LA delegation, you know, and that's why we're here. Now, I do want to say a little thing about San Dimas. If you all saw the movie Hondo, anybody saw the movie Hondo? Do you remember the last line in the movie Hondo? John Wayne says to Geraldine Page, "I'm going to take you out of this godforsaken place and bring you to my ranch in San Dimas, California." That's the last line of Hondo for you all. So I don't know if you remember that, but that's it. And nobody here is old enough to remember that movie, but that's the last line of the movie. So we are in a special place in the 25th Senate District, and it's good to see Dennis Bertone here too as well. And just think of all those council members who served on the Gold Line Construction Authority who brought us here today. Now, I was going to do a half of a certificate. I thought that would be cute, just have half of it and say I'm going to give half today and half later. Because this is a joyous occasion, I said, you know what, I'm going to do the whole certificate, and then when we complete it, we'll do another certificate, and then when we get all the way to Montclair, we'll do a big, you know, Chris and I will do like a mural. Just, you know, just saying thank you to everybody who's worked so hard on this wonderful project. We do have a surplus this year. Know that the legislative delegation with Metro is hammering the administration to spend the money on this laudable project. You get more miles per dollar. Ridership is up, and if you remember when we did the celebration in Arcadia when I was in the Assembly, I said, if you build it, they will come. Remember? If you build it, they will come. And then the other line of that movie was, go the distance. We're going to go the distance, and, you know, just know we're with you, and we're going to do our best. And thank you, everybody, for putting this together. And Ed, I'm just going to hand you the certificate, and then come back next year with a bigger one.
Thank you, Senator Portantino. You know, our next speaker is someone who has been supporting the Gold Line since, well, it was before the Gold Line. Back then, when he was serving Pasadena, for 24 years as mayor and council member, he was able to witness firsthand the benefits the Gold Line brought to residents and to the city. As an assembly member for the 41st District, he has made transportation and completing the Gold Line to Montclair a personal and professional priority. He is the chair of the Assembly Select Committee on Regional Transportation Solutions and holds select committee hearings and transportation roundtables throughout the region to discuss issues regarding funding solutions, active transportation, and managing regional growth. He includes the Gold Line in many of these discussions as he can. His district includes the Foothill Gold Line cities of Pasadena, South Pasadena, and Monrovia, and the current project cities of San Dimas, Laverne, and Claremont. We cannot thank him enough for his leadership, most recently during these last few years as we've sought to secure funding from the state. Please help me welcome my friend and Assembly member for the 41st District, the Honorable Chris Holden.
Good afternoon. First of all, let me say thank you to my friend Ed. You know, you are certainly a representation today of the committed leadership that has gone before these communities that we're now focusing on this next stage, of the dedication of and the vision of what bringing light rail to the San Gabriel Valley will do to not only foster togetherness amongst these various communities, as has been highlighted, but also to pay recognition to the changes that we have to make as a society. We've become a car-driven society for so long, and I think now it's very clear that as we move into a new millennium, farther into a new millennium, that it's important that we think about our environment, that we plan for that, not just in transportation, but on our built-out spaces as well. But I'm happy to be here today because, yes, this is the halfway point of the point of finishing this project. As we're telling everyone, this project has been around for many decades. And I'm just happy that to look out and to see the current leadership, the current communities that are engaged in this important project, and to know that, you know, once upon a time, it was just a vision. But that's what we're all about. As a community, as elected officials, visioning not just for current, but for future. Not just for our current generation, but for future generations. And this rail line embodies that in so many different ways. I give great appreciation to the leadership that we see here today at the county, at the federal level, at the state level, and know that those are important elements to making all of this happen. But it is that one legislative act that my colleague, Senator Portantino, highlighted from our colleague and our congressional delegation colleague, Adam Schiff, when he was a state senator, that really was a game changer. Our project in our valley was kind of getting lost in the larger LA community. And we weren't finding our resources coming to our area in the way that we thought that they should in terms of equity. So to put forth legislation to create a rail authority was really deciding to say we're going to carve ourselves out. Now that met some resistance, but what was important was that it created a rail authority that has been lauded today and in the past for its expertise in design and build, its expertise and funding, its expertise in identifying resources to keep a project moving from downtown LA as a blue line to Pasadena, and from Pasadena moving forward as a gold line. As a result of that, we see communities planning, visioning how they are going to receive and how they're going to be impacted by bringing transportation system that links communities. And general plans in Pasadena, we were able to see how we were able to move our density to downtown to try to build for future growth in the city and projections built around a gold line. And so for we embrace what this project represents, but we know that we're 50% completed to Pomona, but we still have a commitment to get this project all the way to Montclair. And I think this community, the communities of Montclair and Claremont, they deserve nothing less. And there have been so many times along the way where it looked like, well, we don't have the money, let's just end it in Pomona. A beautiful city to end anything. But it's also a beautiful city to begin the completion of something to other beautiful communities that have been planning and expecting this project for so long. As was pointed out, I gotta tell you, like my colleagues, and Freddie Rodriguez, who chairs the San Gabriel Valley caucus of legislators, has been giving great leadership. But I go to bed at night and wake up in the morning with $748 million on my mind. It's not like I want to, but here it is. And so I think that what that's designed to say is that we're not giving up. Last year was unfortunate. We were right there. But because negotiations broke down within leadership in the governor's office, here we are. The unfortunate part of that is that we saw this project balloon in its cost. And whose fault is that? That's not your fault. That's not others who need this for transportation purposes. This is as a result of stuff just not happening. But the commitment lives on. The commitment is what we fight for today. We are not turning back on this. I remember when Pat Riley stood up and the Lakers had won that first championship, he says, you know what, we're gonna do it again. Now the players looked a little confused, but you gotta make that a declaration that that's what's gonna happen, and that is what's gonna happen. He guaranteed it. I think in Pomona that day I said, I guarantee we're gonna get it done. I do it again today. I guarantee we're going to get that $748 million to finish this project to Montclair, California, through the city of Claremont. And if it doesn't happen, I won't run for re-election in 24. But let me just say, I really do appreciate this being a community-driven effort, and we look forward to great success, and thank all of the leaders on our Board of Supervisors who are part of the leadership in Metro, our executive director of the Gold Line Rail Authority, and all who have come before and who are part of this process now for your dedication, your commitment, and we will make this happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Assemblymember. You know, since joining the Assembly in 2013, Assemblymember Freddie Rodriguez has been a true champion for not only completing the Foothill Gold Line to Montclair, but also to the Ontario Airport. His district includes the Foothill Gold Line cities of Pomona and Montclair, but as chair of the Legislative Caucus for the San Gabriel Valley, he has made it his mission to represent the entire corridor. During these past few months, as we have sought funding from the state to complete the line to Claremont and Montclair, Assemblymember Rodriguez has worked tirelessly to make completing the project a caucus priority. He also has included the project as his office's first priority for funding this year as the budget process went underway. We cannot thank him enough for his leadership and his friendship. Please help me welcome Assemblymember for the 52nd District, the Honorable Freddie Rodriguez.
Well, thank you all for being here. You know, it's quite a sight standing right here to see all the community leaders here, our elected officials from the state, federal level, and all the community coming together as we talk about this project. You know, decades ago, this has been in the works, and now we're 50% completed to Pomona. But as Assemblymember Holden said, Pomona is not just the destination, it's the start of a next phase from Pomona into Montclair. And obviously, this is one thing that I always talk about. Assemblymember Holden kind of took the words out of my mouth. $748 million is something that's in my mind 24/7. And you know what, Supervisor, you talked about where we're sitting on a lot of money right now. There's not a day that goes by that somebody calls me, texts me, emails me about, we need funding for this, we need funding for that. But you know, the first thing in the back of my mind is goal line is number one to me, right? And because of everything we're doing here, I think it's just not only an ending, but to a beginning of a new phase, right? Because we know ultimately this will get to the airport one day, if not with our leadership, with future leaderships, because everybody that comes and goes in our different positions, goal line seems to be number one. Because if it wasn't, we wouldn't be here today, right? Look at the beginning, how things started out, and we're still here today. So once again, I want to thank everybody for coming out here today to celebrate this historic part, but not only just today, the future of Pomona and to Montclair and eventually to the airport. And we talk about the airport a lot because I look at what's going to happen in 26 just yesterday, where LA has been a destination for the World Cup for FIFA in 2026, right? So it's a good place to start that conversation, not to mention at 28 with the Summer Games, the Olympics coming here to Los Angeles. But why not having Ontario, the Inland Empire, being a hub for bringing all those folks from other parts of the nation, other parts of the world, coming into Ontario Airport, get them onto a light rail system into downtown LA. We always talk about the heavy congestion and traffic out here. Well, guess what? This is one way, and the only way to alleviate it is getting the goal line completed. So thank you all for coming out here again. And remember, 748 are the key numbers, not only today, but for tomorrow and the future. And thank you all. I appreciate it.
All right, so now I'm honored to invite up to the podium probably the longest serving elected official with us today. While her political career has included serving at the local and state levels, she has now served the communities of the 32nd Congressional District as their representative for more than 3 decades. Her district includes the Foothill Gold Line cities of Azusa, Duarte, and Monrovia, and the current project cities of San Dimas and Laverne. She is the most senior California member of the House Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure, making transportation and completing the Foothill Gold Line a key issue. She's even allowed us to drive her to an event a few years back on a high rail vehicle. I'm hoping I can join her on her next ride once the light rail tracks are completed on this segment. Please help me welcome her to the podium, the Honorable Grace Napolitano.
I can't see anybody. That's okay. That's okay. Don't worry about it. It's really a pleasure to see a lot of friends. But Tom, you were talking about old times. I go back to beginning of the Alameda Corridor East, when Betty Carnett, Juanita Milner McDonald were trying to figure out how to move the rail material from the ports. And the Alameda Corridor East was born. That's how far back I go. So anybody here remember that? Yeah? Yep. But it is a pleasure being here today. Thank you, San Dimas, for holding this event, and the Gold Line for putting it on. It takes a lot of work and brings a lot of people together. We haven't seen each other in a long time. I haven't seen Mr. Holden for a while. How's your dad? I served with him in the assembly. The Gold Line is the most important transportation project in our community. It takes 1,000 cars off the road, and it gives our San Gabriel Valley commuters an affordable, safe, and convenient option to get to work, to their destination. It reduces smog in our community. But don't forget, it also will play a major part in the Olympics, like Freddie said. And maybe you don't know this, but the administration is kind of identifying the projects on transportation built up for the Olympics a number one priority, so that they will take priority in building. So keep in mind that is coming. I am proud to have led a group of members of Congress in 2009 to convince the Metro to fund the Gold Line expansion, Measure R and Measure M. That goes a long way, since you know I've been in Congress for a little while. It has been the most incredibly successful project, and the ridership numbers have exceeded expectations. The parking lots are full, but we've got to worry about the homeless situation. We've got to make sure that those cities are not affected or impacted because of that. It is something that we're working on as well. We're working with Metro to decrease wait times and improve customer service, and we certainly congratulate the Gold Line staff, all the staff, for the amazing work in getting us to this point. I won't go into some of the statistics that have been pointed out more than once, but as the most senior member, I'm glad Congress passed an infrastructure law. By the way, that law was bipartisan, and it is the biggest infrastructure law that was passed in 3 or more decades. So don't expect it to happen again. Take advantage of it now. There might be funding to help continue the project to further down into San Bernardino County. I've long asked question as to why haven't they thought of expanding the Metro line into their area? If they have to get themselves ready, you set the tone, you set the example, you should teach them how. I'm just going to give you a real quick thing about the bill of the transportation that was passed last year. It provides $39 billion with a B for California highways and transit projects. Included $3 billion in highway railroad grade crossing safety funding to separate the roads from the rail lines. And in important projects like the Alameda Corridor East continues to build underpasses for cars to avoid train tracks and the delays that imposes on the people. I know that cities of San Dimas may later complain because they may be bringing too many people into the area, really. And that's gonna be a problem they're gonna have to face and deal with. We increased funding for transit agencies, of which Foothill received $30 million this year, a recent $7 million award for electric buses. Included $4 billion for bicycle and pedestrian facilities that is already being used to improve bike paths, walkways along the Gold Line station in Duarte. And the city will continue to be able to apply for that funding for the next 5 years. We provided $9 billion with a B for bridge repair, including language that allows Los Angeles County to have easier access to these funds in order to address the backlog of maintenance on our local bridges. We've made a lot of progress in the valley, and as you can imagine, I have the San Gabriel Valley, which I represent. I don't live in. Guess what? I don't care. I represent the valley just as well. I keep it in mind, and I always fight for funding to be able to recognize that not only do they do the projects on time, but under budget. Congratulations. I won't take any more of your time. You have more speakers coming. I'd like to present 2 certificates. Yes, so you may come across. Mr. Bertone, to the Foothill Gold Line Authority, we proudly join transportation and community leaders to celebrate the significant construction achievement for a critical infrastructure project. The Regional Transportation Project will provide mass transit service for San Gabriel Valley residents for many years to come. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
And Mr. Bertone, so good to see you, Dennis.
Nice to see you.
Come on. This is to the city of San Dimas to proudly join the transportation community leaders to celebrate the significant construction. Congratulations, and thank you for hosting it.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. We appreciate your leadership.
You're very welcome.
Thank you very much.
gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a great day, and we look forward to expansion. And maybe, just maybe, we may be able to find some funding for the expansion.
Thank you, Congressmember. So U.S. Representative Judy Chu has been a staunch supporter of the Foothill Gold Line, ensuring the line reached Azusa so that it can continue east and reach Claremont and one day, hopefully, the Ontario Airport. In 2009, Congresswoman Chu and Congresswoman Napolitano were instrumental in assuring that the Foothill Gold Line finally made it to that first important step of making it to Azusa. She has been a vocal advocate for the Construction Authority to continue the planning so that Glendora to Montclair segment would be ready to go when funding became available. All you need to do is look at her website, and you'll see how important the project is to her. I have to say, I love all your pictures. Representing the 27th Congressional District, which includes the Foothill Gold Line cities of Pasadena, Arcadia, Monrovia, and the current project cities of Glendora and Claremont, please help me welcome the Honorable Judy Chu.
Well, I'm just so thrilled to join Congressmember Grace Napolitano in saying congratulations on the 50% completion of the Foothill Gold Line expansion. This is such a special moment, and a special congratulations, of course, to Habib Balion, under whose leadership the Foothill Gold Line remains on time and on budget. And I especially want to congratulate everyone who worked on this particular segment, because despite construction beginning in the middle of the pandemic in July 2020, it's still on track to be finished by January 2025. How about that? You know, every time we have a milestone, I actually have a little flashback, and that's back to 2010 when the Gold Line was in danger of not being in Metro Gold Line's long-term plan. You remember the skeptics at that time? There were skeptics that said that there would never be enough riders for the Gold Line and that the investment would not be worth it. And I remember at one point I joined Congress members Adam Schiff and David Dreyer to organize members of Congress, including Grace Napolitano, to advocate for the Gold Line to be included, and it was enough pressure for them to indeed do it. And now look at, I mean, we have such sweet revenge, you know, in terms of that action, because this line has proven to be such a transportation success. After completion of the last segment from Pasadena to Azusa, Metro ridership exceeded expectations and even had to expand service by running more trains to keep up with the demands. And how about the economic success to communities all across the San Gabriel Valley with new housing and retail developments, with this first extension out to Montclair generating nearly 17,000 jobs and more than $1 billion in labor income. And of course, I always like to boast about the fact that this has the promise of being the brain train, connecting colleges and universities in our community like the University of Verne and Cal Poly Pomona. How about that? So I also have to give a plug for our Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act that we passed last year in Congress. This was a major, major, big deal. $1.2 trillion for transportation for our aging infrastructure in the United States, which had not gotten any funds for decades, really. And this will be a major generator of jobs, but will also boost our economy to a tremendous degree. Anyway, it is my hope that this will free up additional state and local funding as our state applies for these different projects so that there can be indeed more money for the Gold Line extension. So I'm so proud to support this project, but of course we will not give up until this goes out to Claremont and Montclair and then to the Ontario airport. So yes, thank you. I will be there every step of the way. And I know that you already have a congressional certificate, but you do not have my congressional certificate. So I am going to present Ed Reese with a certificate of congressional recognition for the Foothill Gold Line Construction Authority. Congratulations.
Thank you, Congressmember Chu. All right, so it is quite a tribute to this milestone that we have so many members of the Metro Board here with us today. And our next speaker is no exception. Metro Director and Glendale Councilman Arya Najarian was, the Metro Board Chairman following Measure R's passage in 2008. He was instrumental in making sure the project to Azusa was included in the long-range plan, personally working many hours on the agreements between Metro and the Construction Authority that allowed the last segment to be so successful. We are grateful for his continuing support of completing the project, not just Pomona, but to Claremont and Montclair. As the current MetroLink Board Chair, he understands the benefit those final stations and the improved connectivity of those stations will bring to the Metro and MetroLink systems. He is a true advocate for improved transportation in our region, and we can't thank him enough for the time he has put to support the Foothill Gold Line. Please help me welcome Metro Board Member and Glendale Councilman, the Honorable Arya Najarian.
So it's a good news, bad news moment. Bad news is, I think half of our butts are asleep. The good news is that I'm not very long-winded. Let's have a cheer for that, right? So what a great honor it is to be before such great leaders, local, county, state, and national. It's really great. I do want to mention someone whose name was not mentioned. That's John Fasana. John Fasana was a great proponent. He was a great proponent of this Gold Line, and when I got on the Metro Board, one of the first things he did is pull me aside and say, hey, I've got this project, and if you want my help on the Metro Board, you better support me. So I took a clue, and he was the longest member on the Metro Board at that time, and I was all in with him. So John, you've done a great job, and I'm sure he'll read about this or hear about it. He was a great proponent. Today is Dump the Pump Day. I don't know if anyone knows that, so it's how fitting is it that we're celebrating this halfway point milestone on the way to Pomona and then Montclair, hopefully to the Ontario airport. It's a testament to the great work of the communities along the way. Because let me tell you, nothing can kill a project or delay a project more than some, I don't want to call them troublemakers, but some opposing voices along the way. And I've seen that on certain projects that are important to me. But it's really great that all the elected leaders and the state leaders got everyone on board pulling in the right direction. And Congresswoman Chu talked about that letter that she got together and sent with Congressman Dreyer and Schiff. Let me tell you, that thing was smoking. I was Metro Chair at that time. That came in and I said, does someone smell smoke in the room? I opened it up and I was like, oh my God, all these heavy hitters from Congress are saying, you better include the Gold Line in your long-term plan. I mean, with a letter like that, how can you say no? So we did say yes. I'm glad that we got it to this point and included it. One additional benefit is that this Gold Line is going to also help us out in Glendale because we're connecting the Gold Line as it turns south in Pasadena through Eagle Rock, Glendale, Burbank to North Hollywood through a BRT system, and then that's going to connect the San Fernando Valley. So what we've done is really connected our two great valleys all the way to Pomona and the easternmost county line of LA, and it's going to go all the way to the San Fernando Valley. So I promise I'd be short. What a great day it is. Thank you, Habib and your crew. Each and every step along the way, you find a great way to celebrate from all the stations and the groundbreaking. In fact, I was Metro Chair when we did the groundbreaking at the Sierra Madre Villa station, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, we're never going to find funding to get it to Azusa. But look, we've gotten to Azusa, and we're halfway to Pomona. Great work, everyone. Happy to be here with you. Let's celebrate our achievements.
All right, so good news. We've already passed the 7th inning stretch. All right. So now I'm happy to invite to the podium somebody who's been talked about a lot already today. He has led the Construction Authority to 2 on-time, under-budget project completions and has overseen the agency as it planned and engineered the Glendora to Montclair segment starting as early as 2003. If all continues as it has gone so far, I think he is on track to adding a 3rd under-budget project to his list of accomplishments. While I know we have challenges ahead to secure the funding we need to finish the project, I am confident that with you at the helm, the project will be ready to go as soon as the money is available. You have truly put together a stellar team to support you and this project, which shows the strength of your leadership. I know you're going to introduce them, but I want to say from the board how much we appreciate all of the staff's hard work and dedication to excellence. It is not gone unnoticed. Please help me welcome Construction Authority CEO and my partner, Habib Balian.
Thank you, and thank you all for being here today. I enjoyed hearing about all the flashbacks of what you've sat through with the authority and the achievements, and of course, Mr. Holden and Mr. Rodriguez, hearing about your dreams as well. 748, we all dream about that same thing. Since that October day, less than 3 years ago, on the steps of Pomona City Hall, we embarked on a journey with our joint venture partners, Kiewit and Parsons, with the support of the many elected officials here today. Whether in the county, Sacramento, or Washington, in your city, or somewhere in the district, we set out to build this project, upgrading the corridor with new infrastructure, light rail stations, opportunities for development, and renewal of neighborhoods where we raise our children, meet our neighbors, and work each day. This would not be possible without our city partners who innovated and found ways to collaborate under difficult circumstances so we could finalize design and start construction during the pandemic. Early on, I knew not even a worldwide pandemic was going to stop this train. And to my board of directors, thank you for enabling me to hand build a team of professionals to guide the planning, engineering, and construction of the project. As CEO, I'm honored every day to work with Crandall Jew, our Chief Financial Officer, who has been with the agency since the beginning, Mitch Purcell, our Chief Contracting Officer and in-house counsel, Lisa Levy-Bush, our Chief Communications and Strategic Development Officer, and her community and media relations team, Albert Ho and Yesenia Arias. Of course, leading the charge is Chris Berner, our Chief Project Officer, who has been with the agency for all 3 phases of the line, now leading the agency's planning, design, and engineering. He and his team readied this segment for construction, and in spite of the challenges of the last 2 years, ensured construction was not only ready to start on time, it stayed on schedule and allowed us to reach today's milestone. I'd like to thank my team. Please join me. Supporting Chris, we are also fortunate to have a partner in Hill International, our program manager. Hill has provided many of our on-site professionals and consultants. With us here today is Ricky Haramoto, Deputy Chief Project Officer, Bill Reagan, Director of Construction, and his inspectors, Habib Charvel and Juan Alvari, John Serra, a key member of the design team who helped design the bridges, just like the one you see behind me. Natasha Peterson and Dan Goods, who ensure we are dotting all the I's and crossing all the T's. I also want to recognize the Keywood Parsons team, our contractor, who too had to overcome unexpected challenges and has been able to produce excellent results. Here today representing Keywood is John Bly, the project executive, Jeff Rowland, community relations and third-party manager, Kelsey Budner, community relations. My thanks to the entire team for your work that will make this project a success. There is a lot of work ahead, but I am confident that we have the right team at the right time to get the job done. And finally, to Stephanie Wiggins and our Metro partners, we want to thank you for keeping the agency's promise to complete the gold line to the county line as a top priority, and for making the gold line an integral part of the county plan. Stephanie, we're honored to have you here, and I'd like to invite you to the podium.
Thank you, Habib. Councilman Thompson said I'm between you and the cake, so I'm gonna throw away my 10 pages of talking points and just say this. Thank you, Mayor Sandoval, board member. Just a couple of things. One, I want to first acknowledge the people who hired me as the CEO, our board chair, Hilda Solis, who's been a staunch champion for the Gold Line, our vice chair, Director Nigerian. I remember when you were chair and you got that red hot letter, and we're all over DC talking about the Gold Line, another champion. And of course, I'm new to my role. I just finished my first year, and when I had an on board with Mayor Sandoval one-on-one, he said, Gold Line, Gold Line, Gold Line. So you undoubtedly have a champion. And of course, Supervisor Barger, she has also been a staunch champion for the Gold Line. Even when I was at Metrolink, she talked to me about Annabella Valley and say what's happening with the Gold Line. So I was well trained and prepared to be an advocate for the Gold Line. Over this last year, when I meet with Senator Portantino, Assemblymember Holden, and I haven't had the pleasure, but I know he'd say the same, their first question is, where are you on the Gold Line, right? So even at the state level, and of course, we have incredible representatives at the federal level with Congresswoman Napolitano and Chu. I will just say this, being a partner with Habib has been a privilege. He is a tenacious leader. He is driven. He is actually a mentor. I appreciate his collaboration because I've been around long enough to know there was a time when Gold Line and Metro had a Cold War going on. I know you wouldn't believe that. And so I have been really privileged that from day one in getting this role, he has been an active, engaged partner, wanting to know how we can collaborate even more. So I'm grateful for that because it's with pride and privilege that we are going to be ready to accept the baton from Habib and the Gold Line Construction Authority team. I want to acknowledge my team who's been working with Chris Berner and others to make sure that when Habib is ready to hand over the project, we're ready to make sure it is going to be a success. And that is Rick Mead, our Deputy Chief of Program Management, and Jonathan Holford, Andrew Stanelians from Engineering, Frank Alejandro, and Tony Louie from Operations, and so many others. I've said that my stretch goal is to make Metro the first choice that people think about for transportation. Being halfway there, we know the Gold Line when we get it to Pomona, Mayor, and then to Montclair, we're on our way to making it the first choice for all our San Gabriel Valley cities. Thank you, and let's go.
All right, now you can start warming up your legs. We're gonna need to start to stand up pretty soon, and you know, what would a celebration of this magnitude be without a cake and some great pictures to remember? I'd like to ask all of the elected officials present to first help me cut the cake, and then if you're comfortable, we'll walk over to the bridge and take a picture with the recently completed superstructure that's right behind me. Then I hope you all will come back, stick around, eat some cake, and enjoy some time together. I appreciate Director Nigerian speaking about Mr. John Fasano. Former Director Fasano is is a man that championed the Gold Line, championed transportation in the San Gabriel Valley for decades. So you're right. He deserves our respect, our honor, and our appreciation. Thank you. So, thank you all for coming today. And as Habib says, the journey continues.